Harry's in trouble, and the thing that lets him down is his brain. If he's got one.
Could the Montecito mansion soon have a for sale sign in front of it? Harry and Meghan are facing a devastatingly large legal bill after the Duke lost his legal case against the Daily Mail.
Associated Newspapers Limited, the publishers of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday, to court. They were suing them for a breach of privacy.
Harry was trapped, and here's the kicker. The one thing that should have saved him, his intelligence, turned into his worst nightmare. Everyone watching thought he was losing his mind. Seriously, people started asking if he even knew what was real anymore. Things went sideways when he decided to take on the Mail on Sunday in court a few years back. Some called it brave, a chance to fix his image, but nobody expected what was actually about to go down. At first, he charged in like he had nothing to lose, dead set that the law was on his side. Then reality hit different. The further the case went, the cracks got bigger. His whole confidence just evaporated. Halfway through, something clicked. He realized the deck was stacked against him. This legal fighter who seemed so sure suddenly pumped the brakes hard and switched directions completely. He gave up, took a settlement, and handed over $3 million Australian dollars just to make it stop. That's a massive financial hit, a wake-up call that this wasn't his victory to celebrate.
Now, an extraordinary courtroom verdict. Prince Harry has lost his £50 million case against the Daily Mail.
Now think about it. Most people would have walked away quiet after losing 2 major court battles like that, maybe re-evaluated their whole approach, or just called it done. But not Harry. Not even close. These losses actually seemed to energize him more. Instead of tapping out, he dusted himself off and basically said, "Watch me go harder." This was just the start of something way messier than anyone expected. A mansion like theirs isn't just an investment, it's a money pit that keeps on giving. Security costs alone are insane, not to mention the property taxes that hit every single year, insurance premiums protecting a fortune in real estate, plus maintenance, landscaping, utilities. The bills just keep stacking up month after month. When you add it all together, that dream home turns into a financial monster that demands serious cash to keep running. If things keep going sideways financially, they might have to do the unthinkable, sell it all. Yeah, putting a high-maintenance mansion on the market isn't exactly a dream scenario, but when expenses start crushing you instead of working for you, even luxury properties become more trouble than they're worth.
A London court was told this week the publisher is seeking more than 60 million Australian dollars in compensation.
For years, they kept the lifestyle going through Netflix deals and media projects that looked solid on paper. These partnerships promised steady income, enough to keep their world spinning without stress. But here's the reality check. Those revenue streams didn't deliver like they promised. The projects that were supposed to be huge moneymakers fell flat, missing the targets needed to cover their massive lifestyle expenses. That shift has put serious strain on their finances and raised real questions about how sustainable any of this actually is without consistent big money coming in. The success everyone expected just never showed up. Those projects that seemed like they dominate streaming and stay relevant, the momentum died fast. What was supposed to be their financial goldmine started crumbling, leaving fans and industry people disappointed. Meghan's business moves haven't gone according to plan either. Her ventures looked promising at first but struggled to gain real traction. Several of her recent projects failed to grab people's attention or generate the buzz she was going for, and no matter how much money or marketing went behind them, something wasn't clicking with consumers. People have been straight up about it. Some think her products lack authenticity, others just aren't interested enough to buy. The hype never built up, and interest stayed flat. Without that genuine connection with audiences, her business ventures never transformed into the thriving empire people expected. Her carefully built lifestyle image.
Then he starts legal action against the publishers of the Mail on Sunday a couple of years ago, changes his mind halfway through because he knows he's going to lose, and has to settle out of court to the tune of $3 million Australian dollars. So having lost 2 major court cases, any normal person would think, okay, I'm done. Not Harry, hold my beer, let's go back. And this time, he loses categorically and completely. is that Harry is always suing people and always losing.
Once inspiring to fans, now feels more like an impossible standard to reach, making it harder to keep that personal brand momentum going strong. The brand did expand into different products like wickless candles and custom matches, showing real effort and creativity. But despite these moves and new product lines, plenty of people are still wondering if any of this is actually making enough money to help them out during these rough times. The financial pressure they're dealing with isn't just background noise, it's a real fight to survive without royal financial support backing them up anymore. Meanwhile, Harry's running out of patience, dealing with the emotional weight of being cut off from his family. Attempts to repair those relationships haven't gone anywhere, and that stagnation is hitting him hard. Those family bridges that once seemed fixable now feel shaky or completely broken. Getting back in his family's good graces isn't just personal, it represents one of the only real safety nets he has left. But that path keeps getting further away.
To attack the verdict as a complete whitewash, therefore bringing into disrepute the entire legal system, which is represented by his father, the king, and effectively questioning the integrity of the judge, Mr. Justice Nicklin. The problem is that Mr. Justice Nicklin is the same man that will decide whether Harry is responsible for unlimited legal expenses, both his own and those of the Daily Mail.
The gap between Harry and King Charles is getting wider and harder to bridge. It's loaded with unsaid things, missed chances, and a complicated shared history made worse by public drama and private hurt. For Harry, this isn't just about family, it's a major turning point where reconciliation feels like a distant possibility that might never actually happen. That reality adds serious weight to everything he's dealing with right now. The royal family tension is escalating, and Harry and Prince William's relationship specifically is falling apart faster. Sources say communication between the brothers has basically stopped. They're hardly talking at all. This breakdown shows a deepening divide that's leaving Harry isolated from the family support system he once relied on. That isolation is crushing him emotionally during an already brutal period. But there's something even bigger looming over everything. The strain on his marriage to Meghan is intense.
Something else that's in shambles is the Invictus Games. And this makes me sad because the Invictus Games is for a good purpose, right? The Invictus Games, I believe, is a good cause. It's an altruistic cause. But the donors and the funders are pulling out. You know, Harry and Meghan are really losing their luster, and people don't understand where Prince Harry is taking the organization. So let me read you this. The Invictus Games, they're facing growing criticism ahead of their return to the UK with concerns over low public enthusiasm, staffing issues, and questions about whether the focus has shifted from wounded veterans to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
When Meghan married into the royal family, it seemed like she was walking into unlimited opportunity and a platform most people could only dream about. With Harry's fame, royal connections, and massive influence, he brought a powerful stage that could amplify her voice like nothing else could. Except the real experience of royal life turned out nothing like what people imagined. Instead of the bright path everyone expected, the pressure, the constant surveillance, and relentless public attention beat them down, damaging their relationship and their personal well-being. The intense spotlight and expectations created a fragile situation where balancing family drama and personal goals became a daily struggle. As they try to make their own way, these challenges keep piling on top of each other, making everything emotionally messier and more complex. They were once seen as an unstoppable power couple with everything going for them. Their image screamed strength and promise, like nothing could stop them. Global platforms,
gone. And their outgoings are huge, with security bills, multiple mortgages, and legal fees estimated at $38 million.
Yikes! Netflix dump Harry and Meghan. It is over, folks. The Sussexes' relationship with the streaming giant is grinding to a halt. Now, it's the understanding of the Mark Dolan show that Netflix's renewed deal with the Sussexes, which was far smaller than the original agreement, is being wound down. Media insiders in the US have told this program that Netflix are, and I quote, completely done with the couple.
Endless doors opening, the kind of influence most people fantasize about. It seemed like their combined star power would take them to incredible places and write an amazing success story. But time changes everything. And this particular story is living proof of that reality in ways most people never anticipated. Harry's stuck navigating seriously turbulent waters, now court cases piling up against him with brutal frequency, money bleeding out faster than any reasonable income can replace it, and the future looking shaky and uncertain when everything once felt solid, locked down, and completely within their control. That fortress they built with such meticulous care is showing major structural damage, vulnerable to forces completely outside their ability to manage or manipulate. What used to look like unlimited potential and possibility now gets suffocated by mounting problems and creeping doubt that haunts every single decision. For Meghan, the reality shift hits harder and cuts much deeper into her actual aspirations. She stepped into this life carrying a very specific vision of what would unfold.
The Montecito star looks like they've ditched her as ever slop, her as ever products. So I'm asking a question for a friend here, but is Megsy's brand now banned in Montecito?
Endless possibilities stretching into the horizon, opportunity knocking at the door constantly, a personal brand and influence that could only expand and strengthen with time. But that's not remotely how the actual story played out in real time. Instead of watching her career soar to new heights, she's confronting serious professional instability everywhere she turns. The business landscape that seemed guaranteed to keep expanding and rewarding her efforts, it's actually contracting and becoming tougher to navigate. The momentum she absolutely expected to build never materialized in any meaningful way, and what looked like a golden ticket turned into something completely and fundamentally different. Understanding the legal journey matters here because it shaped everything that came after. Those court battles weren't just about money or pride. They were exhausting, draining experiences that took psychological tolls beyond what most people realize. When you're fighting in courtrooms, you're not just fighting a legal battle. You're fighting against narrative control, against public perception, against the weight of feeling like the system isn't working in your favor. Every loss in court isn't just a financial hit. It's a public validation that someone else's story won the day. For Harry,
I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
that accumulation of legal defeats created this background noise of doubt and frustration, the money spent on lawyers, the time invested in depositions and hearings, the emotional energy consumed by trying to defend your reputation in front of judges and juries that takes something out of you that doesn't easily come back. And when settlements come with massive price tags attached, there's this lingering sense that you fought hard but ultimately lost anyway. That psychological damage doesn't show up on financial statements, but it absolutely affects decision-making going forward. The media landscape itself presents challenges that deserve serious examination. When Harry and Meghan signed with Netflix, that deal seemed like the perfect solution to their income questions. Netflix was hungry for high-profile content, was willing to spend serious money on established talent, and could offer the kind of reach and platform that amplified their voice globally.
She's money-obsessed and always has been. And that is why she married Prince Harry. A great surprise and disappointment was to discover that Prince Harry had very little money. She imagined he'd be worth hundreds of millions, if not billions. And she's having to make up for it now.
The numbers looked good on paper, the prestige looked good, and the promise of ongoing revenue streams looked sustainable. But what actually happened revealed something important about the streaming wars. Netflix in 2024 and beyond isn't the same Netflix that was throwing money at celebrity projects without question. The company got serious about content actually performing, about measurable metrics and subscriber engagement. Projects that looked cool but didn't translate to watch time got cut or cancelled. Production companies that couldn't deliver hits found themselves without new deals. The content game changed, and Harry and Meghan's projects found themselves swimming against the current instead of with it. The streaming failure deserves deeper analysis because it reveals something about audience expectations. When people see a trailer for a celebrity project, they bring certain assumptions. If it's royal adjacent content,
keep giving, as you say there, Chris. Listen, it's no surprise. She wanted somebody that was high status and famous and rich. I guess who doesn't? And this was maybe one measure of the way the institution works that maybe she didn't really understand, and she didn't know that all the finances are controlled in trusts, or other people are controlling the purse strings in favor of the role that they perform. She wants financial independence, and yeah, she, in some way, hats off to her. She achieved it, and that does explain the Netflix deals.
Some people come with fascination. Some come with skepticism. Some come wanting to see behind-the-scenes secrets that will never actually be revealed. The audience wants authenticity mixed with spectacle, access mixed with mystery. But there's a limit to what people will actually watch, and when a project feels like it's just cashing in on celebrity status rather than offering genuine value or compelling storytelling, audiences respond by not watching. That's not a personal attack on anyone involved. It's just how media consumption works. People have unlimited options now, and they vote with their viewing time. When millions of people decide something isn't worth their time, that's a powerful signal. Tensions building across every dimension of their existence now, and the questions keep multiplying daily. Media outlets are absolutely fixated on what happens next. Industry insiders are placing bets on major life changes. Will Meghan, crushed under mounting pressure from every possible angle, actually decide to walk her own path and start completely fresh? Could their marriage genuinely be facing a real breaking point that separation might finally resolve? The speculation keeps getting louder with every passing week and month, with observers everywhere wondering if that supposedly rock-solid couple dynamic could actually crumble under this sustained pressure.
The couple's reportedly planning to sell up and move to Malibu, although unconfirmed, it's unclear if they need to downsize to free up some cash, or they just desire a change of scenery for their family of 4.
The weight pressing down on their relationship is genuinely massive and multifaceted. There's the unending legal chaos that Harry keeps fighting in courtrooms. There's financial stress that's getting measurably worse instead of better. There's the unpredictable future hanging over the Invictus Games with sponsorship drying up. There's the complicated family situation with absolutely zero progress toward reconciliation. There's the business ventures that aren't generating expected returns. There's the physical and emotional exhaustion of living under constant public scrutiny. These aren't just external noise you can tune out or ignore. They've burrowed deep into the actual foundation of their connection, creating emotional distance and practical separation that's genuinely hard to ignore or paper over with carefully crafted public appearances. Here's what's striking when you really examine their marriage evolution with actual honesty. Harry and Meghan used to show up together for almost everything, moving as a synchronized unit through every public moment and major project. They were the couple that nobody seriously questioned, always aligned, always present together, always projecting that unified strength to the world. But look at the current reality, and it's a completely different picture than what existed even 3 or 4 years ago. Now they're charting increasingly separate courses, pursuing individual projects that reflect their own unique interests and personal ambitions. On the surface, that makes complete sense. People grow, interests diverge. That's normal human development. But the frequency with which they're traveling apart, the way they're juggling completely different commitments, the fact that they're showing up solo to events where they used to appear as a cohesive pair that signals something fundamental, has genuinely shifted in their dynamic. Their priorities, which used to be so interconnected that they moved almost like one single entity, are visibly diverging now in ways that can't be ignored. Back just a few years ago, that bond seemed absolutely unbreakable, like nothing in the world could touch it or come between them. But what they're facing now is the kind of sustained pressure that goodwill and good intentions alone cannot possibly fix or overcome. It's like the intimate closeness they once shared has gradually been replaced by parallel lives. Sure, they're physically close when they're at the same location, but emotionally and practically, they're heading in completely different directions. That transformation raises a serious question that everyone's genuinely wondering. Can they actually find a way back to the unity they once had? Or is the path forward inevitably leading towards separation and completely new beginnings for both of them as individuals? The carefully constructed public image that once felt unmistakable and permanent is quietly slipping away into the background now, losing its grip on public perception. The pressures, what people see on the polished surface, and what's actually happening behind closed doors are absolutely crushing this situation. Making any relationship function under this kind of sustained weight is nearly impossible. As financial demands keep climbing higher and higher, whispers about drastic changes are getting louder and more serious. There's legitimate talk that major assets might need to get sold, expensive belongings might have to be parted with, and the household staff who've been part of their daily life for years could face significant cutbacks. Cost-cutting measures aren't just theoretical anymore, they're becoming actual necessities that they're probably already discussing privately with accountants and financial advisors. Let's talk about the actual mathematics of their lifestyle for a moment. The Montecito mansion didn't come cheap. We're talking about a property that cost millions of dollars. But the purchase price is just the beginning of the financial commitment. Property taxes in California on a luxury home like that are substantial. We're talking about 6 figures annually just to keep the property registered and maintained by local authorities. Security infrastructure that keeps paparazzi and stalkers at bay costs serious money, not just the initial installation, but constant upgrades and trained personnel. Landscaping to keep those manicured grounds perfect requires specialized contractors. Utilities for a mansion of that size run high. Insurance that protects a multi-million-dollar property against everything from fire to theft runs into serious money. The staff, housekeepers, maintenance workers, groundskeepers, these aren't minimum wage jobs, especially when you need people who can handle high-profile security situations and celebrity-level expectations. Add it all together, and you're looking at monthly burn rates that make most people's annual income look small. Downsizing from the lifestyle they've built? That used to seem like something that happens to other people in financial trouble, not to someone with royal connections. But it's getting closer to reality with every financial quarter that passes. This isn't about trimming a bit of fat from the budget. It's about survival and adapting to a completely new reality where maintaining that lavish lifestyle simply isn't guaranteed anymore. The Montecito mansion that cost millions, that represented their fresh start and independence from royal oversight, is now potentially becoming a liability rather than an asset. The upkeep costs, the property taxes, the security infrastructure, it all adds up to a staggering monthly burn rate that even successful media deals struggle to cover. Alongside these painful financial decisions, new business ventures and media partnerships are suddenly taking center stage in their strategic planning. But these aren't just random opportunistic moves that they're throwing against the wall hoping something sticks. They're strategic calculations designed to generate the kind of income they desperately need, stabilize their finances that are currently unstable, and hold on to the life they once knew. They're looking at every possible angle, every potential deal, every partnership that could bring meaningful money through the door. The Netflix projects that underperformed taught them valuable lessons about what doesn't work with audiences. But instead of retreating completely, they're studying what might actually resonate with viewers, what content gets real viewership numbers and subscriptions, what narrative could actually work in 2027 and beyond. The business ventures that Meghan launched separately were supposed to be her independent success story. That's what made sense: strategically leverage her personal platform, create actual products, build a lifestyle brand empire that wasn't dependent on Hollywood. Wickless candles, custom matches, the whole curated lifestyle concept. It had all the ingredients that should have theoretically worked. The timing looked right. The market seemed ready for premium lifestyle products, and her celebrity platform should have been enough to generate initial traction. But market response has been lukewarm at best. failing to meet even modest expectations. There's this real disconnect between the aspirational lifestyle the products represent and what regular people actually want to spend money on. Critics and everyday consumers both point to the same core issues. Authenticity feels missing. Genuine personal investment seems absent. That real human connection you need to make luxury products work just isn't there. People can smell when something's being sold to them by someone who's not genuinely invested in the actual product versus the profit margin. When your main motivation reads as, "How do I monetize my celebrity status?" rather than, "How do I create something people actually need and want?" that difference absolutely shows in the final product and in consumer reception. The competition in the lifestyle brand space is also brutal and unforgiving. There are established players who've been building their brands for decades, who have supply chain advantages and customer loyalty that's hard to break. There are influencers who got into these spaces earlier and built authentic communities around their products. And then there's the psychological reality that premium lifestyle products need authentic endorsement, not celebrity attachment. People can tell the difference between someone genuinely excited about a product and someone putting their name on something because they need money. That distinction matters more than most people realize. The emotional toll underneath all this financial chaos is real and serious and deserves genuine consideration. Harry's patience with the family situation is completely worn down at this point. Those attempts to rebuild bridges with King Charles have gone nowhere, have produced absolutely zero progress or movement toward actual reconciliation. There's been no meaningful communication, no steps toward understanding, just silence and increasing distance. For Harry, that disconnection isn't just a personal disappointment or emotional wound, it represents one of the only genuine safety nets that could actually exist for him. Royal connections still matter in certain contexts. Royal support still carries weight and opens specific doors. Family legitimacy still means something in certain circles. But every day that passes without movement on that front, that path feels further away and less realistic. The gap between him and his father keeps growing wider instead of narrower. And then there's the relationship with Prince William that demands serious attention. Sources close to the family describe communication that's basically stopped entirely. We're not talking about awkward or strained or uncomfortable. We're talking about near total silence and radio blackouts. That's a breakdown that speaks volumes louder than words ever could. The brothers who once shared everything, who stood together at major moments, who had genuine history and blood connection, that bond is essentially gone now, replaced by radio silence and the kind of distance that makes any reconciliation feel impossible or unrealistic. For Harry, that isolation from his brother adds another heavy layer on top of everything else he's already dealing with. You can't just ignore the weight of that kind of family fracture, especially when you're simultaneously dealing with financial chaos and marriage stress and professional disappointment. There's also the psychological reality of the Invictus Games situation that can't be overlooked. This is Harry's genuine passion project, his legacy work, something that truly matters to him on a deep and personal level. Wounded veterans, injured service members, people who've sacrificed everything for their countries, getting them together for competition and healing and community building. That's meaningful work that genuinely improves lives. But now that meaningful project is wrapped up in serious financial uncertainty. Sponsorships that used to flow relatively easily are drying up completely. Corporate partners are looking at their portfolios and pulling back on discretionary spending. In this economic climate, companies are tightening their belts, reevaluating where their money goes and what ROI they can expect. And Harry's facing the real possibility that he might have to personally fund more of the Birmingham Games with his own diminishing resources. That's not just a financial problem, that's an emotional one too. Here's something he genuinely cares about, something important and meaningful, and money worries are threatening to corrupt and complicate the whole thing. The reality of staying in Montecito adds another layer to this entire complicated situation. That neighborhood represents this specific lifestyle choice: high profile, expensive, exclusive, requiring constant maintenance and professional security. It's not just about the house itself. It's about the statement the house makes, the doors it supposedly opens, the privacy it supposedly provides. But when you're bleeding money and assets are becoming liabilities instead of investments, that choice becomes harder and harder to justify. A move to somewhere less expensive, less demanding, less high profile. That's not just a practical decision, it's an admission that things haven't gone according to the original plan. It's a visible retreat from the vision they had for themselves when they first moved to California. But there's also something genuinely human underneath all this chaos and financial stress that needs acknowledgement. Maybe what they actually need is completely different than what they've been chasing. Maybe they need a place that brings genuine peace, actual space for their kids to grow up without constant scrutiny and cameras, a sanctuary away from the relentless attention and uncertainty. A different location could give them room to breathe, genuine relief to heal on both the financial and emotional levels. Sometimes when everything's falling apart around you, the only real solution is stepping back, reassessing everything, and building something completely new from different materials and with different values. The future genuinely is uncertain, shaped by decisions that have to balance hope against harsh realities. They're at a crossroads where every choice matters and carries serious consequences. Do they double down on media deals and risk more public failure and embarrassment? Do they scale back their lifestyle and feel like they're admitting defeat? Do they try desperately to repair family relationships that seem genuinely broken and fractured? Do they focus energy on their marriage or acknowledge it might not survive this sustained pressure? These aren't abstract questions anymore, they're real decisions that actual people are making or about to make. The stakes are real, the consequences are real, and whatever they choose will shape their lives for years to come. What's genuinely clear is that whoever comes out the other side of this situation will need serious resilience, determination, and probably some luck. Life rarely follows the script we write for ourselves, and this story is absolute proof of that. Behind every polished public image, there's a real story full of genuine struggle, constant adaptation, and the ongoing search for stability and security. Sometimes that story doesn't end the way people imagine it will, but that doesn't make the effort to build something meaningful any less important or valuable. The journey matters, even when the destination looks different than you planned. If this deep dive into what's actually happening grabbed you and kept you thinking about the real complexities involved, hit that like button right now. Subscribe so you catch the next detailed breakdown when it drops and we go deeper into these stories. Share this with people who get invested in these real-world stories with serious stakes and genuine complexity. Drop your actual thoughts in the comments section. Tell us what you think is really going down with this entire situation and what you think might happen next. We genuinely want to hear what you're thinking and keep this conversation going with real perspectives. See you on the next one.